My name is Olivia Struby, and the article that I chose for this project, published in the Harvard Business Review, is titled Why Doctors Need Leadership Training. And at Purdue, I'm studying pre-med, hoping to go on and continue until I am a physician. So I felt it was really important to know all these skills before I even get into medical school, because you don't have a lot of time there to study leadership. So I have a leadership minor right now, and when I was searching for an article for this one stuck out because it was only published last year, so it's really up to date, and it went through some other colleges that are implementing programs in the undergrad field currently, because a lot of times what happens is after you complete undergrad and go on to med school, you don't really have time in med school while you're learning all of that information to study leadership. And then when you go on to your residency, you're getting into your specialty and you're not really studying leadership then either. So the question is, when do doctors learn leadership? I think as a society, we really tend to think of doctors as being extremely good leaders within their field, but that's really not true if they're not ever learning those skills. So the biggest problem, I think that's one of the biggest problem in healthcare, is that's why your care can be so varied in a public and in a private system, because it really does depend on the leadership qualities of each physician and how they choose to organize their healthcare team. So this article was really about criticizing the current field and what happens with how leadership skills need to be learned within that field and everything, and why it's so important for doctors to have leadership skills. And I mean, that's kind of obvious. They're in charge a lot of times, especially if they're in surgery, of a whole team of people, that they need to have very clear interpersonal skills to be able to best organize their team, best handle difficulties, and be able to consistently motivate their team, handle any problems that may occur. With healthcare, you have so many different types of jobs. You could have hourly workers, salary workers, everywhere in between. So it's really important to organize everybody and understand that with all the different factors, everybody is still getting they still have a main goal of providing patient care. So there were also some interesting points brought up about how they looked at different hospitals, and hospitals that were consistently marked as having better management skills, better supervision skills, also tended to rate higher on patient satisfactory and overall clinical care. So that's really interesting to see that leadership has direct impact on patient care. And even if you don't see it at the base level, it really does exist, that everything that you do as an individual leader impacts the whole field. So there were 2 points that this article specifically brought up, which was making sure doctors understand interpersonal literacy, and then understanding the system literacy. So the interpersonal literacy just referred to as making sure you understand your team and understand how to best motivate your team, even though, doctors obviously aren't providing, unless they run their own practice, they're not in charge of their team's salary and everything, but they still have to figure out ways to motivate them, almost like a supervisor. And then the system systems literacy just refers to how in healthcare doctors need to understand the entire field and understand how the insurance is going to play into that, because they need to understand all the costs associated with patient care, and what happens if their patients can't pay, or a lot of times that gets overlooked in hospitals because you have whole departments dealing with that. But what they were illustrating is, if the doctors have their own literacy about that, patient care is extremely better and extremely more tailored and understood. So it's extremely interesting. I mean, you can't imagine, or it's hard to imagine, a good CEO that doesn't understand exactly how their business runs. So I kind of, think about that with healthcare too. I mean, I think doctors need to know exactly how the healthcare business is running, aside from all their medical training that they need to have. Um, so I think this field is uh, in many ways the same as a lot of businesses, but in many ways different. I mean, you're dealing with people's lives and at a very direct level, not just making products that could harm them. I mean, that's still very important in dealing with patient lives, but with healthcare, every decision that you make is going to impact someone's life. So I think we need to hold them to higher standards, and the teams need to be running a lot more efficiently. And I think good leadership qualities and training is the way to do that. So, yeah.